there is another game in the Pac-12 with incredible significance on the Pac-12 title race, as Utah will be on the road going to Autzen Stadium, where Washington just got a win, going up against the Oregon Ducks. Now, Utah over the last couple of weeks has done a good job of taking care of business against opponents that it is better than. I mean, it's 42-7 against Stanford, 45-20 against Arizona. A little bit of a low-scoring grinder at Washington State, but remember, that was the Cam Rising mysteriously not in the lineup. No one knew about it, all the way down to, every single fan and all the gamblers out there. It was quite a moment, especially coming off of an off week. So really, ever since the win against USC, the walk-off 43-42 victory, Utah's been a little off the radar. Oregon, of course, we just got to see up close and personal. Danny, as you're looking at Oregon and Utah, what are some of the sort of key matchup points that stand out to you when you're trying to break this thing down?
I think clearly this is a game of physicality. This is one where Oregon, I think, could potentially struggle with Utah's front seven, with the combination of Cam Rising being able to run the football with Tavion Thomas, their running back. I think that, to me, will define whether Oregon is able to win this game or not. Also, the bounce back game for Bo Nix. Like, how does he do offensively? Rebounding after the first loss of the season for the Ducks. But I think the physicality, kind of the trenches, the trench warfare would be where I'd see the significant advantage to Utah. They haven't been as dominant as they've been before, but I do think this will be one of Oregon's more physical tests that they'll have to face on the year.
See, I look at it a little bit differently on one side of the ball than Danny. I agree that Utah should be able to run the football fairly well on Oregon. But Utah's run defense this year has been pretty poor. And the better rushing offenses they've faced have run at them kind of at will, right? Florida got what they wanted on the ground consistently against against Utah. And so did UCLA. Like, they could run it kind of whenever they wanted to. So I think it's a major test for that Utah front seven that is usually pretty good. But this year in their bigger tests, they've been pushed around a little bit. On the flip side, I think a known quantity in this game is that Oregon's pass defense is hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And if Cam Rising is remotely healthy, he should be able to get what he wants through the air here. Kind of quarterback injury questions on both sides. Like, do we know if Bo Nix is healthy? Do we know if Bo Nix is going to play?
Whoa.
That's the thing. We don't know Bo Nix's staff. When Dan Lanning talked about it at his press conference this week, he said, I'm not going to share really any update with anyone. We came away dinged in that game. I'll say I feel a lot more positive today getting to hear some news on where things are at right now. But that could be about Bo Nix. That could be about starting center Alex Forsyth. That could be about starting right guard Ryan Walk. That's the thing. Bo Nix wasn't the only Oregon player dinged up in that game. They suffered injuries on the offensive line as well. So there's a lot of injury questions surrounding the Ducks right now.
Meanwhile, Utah has had cakewalks as far as opposing defenses for 2 weeks in a row here, getting to play Stanford and also Arizona in back-to-back weeks. So Utah's offense may have a little something cooked up for this.
You think that they've just sort of been packing it in, running spring game offense, and then
Tennessee's defense getting ready Georgia's defense getting ready for Tennessee for a couple weeks now.
If Bo Nix is not able to go and it is Ty Thompson, that is a significant downgrade that would entirely change your handicap and expectations for this game.
Oh yes, I mean
go ahead.
We saw last week, with Ty Thompson in, I mean, they went for it on the fourth down, and we won't get into that debate again. But the playbook was clearly very different with Ty Thompson, and it's somebody who, you can wonder now. It's like hindsight's 20/20 and all that, but you wonder, with all the blowout wins that Oregon has had this year, maybe Ty Thompson should have gotten more snaps during the season than he's had so far, because maybe then if you're in a situation like this where you do need to rely on him, he's got a little more experience under his belt.
All right, don't look. I know Tom's looked. If you guys have not looked yet, I want you to guess. How many passes do you think Ty Thompson has thrown this year?
7.
13.
21. How many games has Oregon won by more than 3 scores?
A lot.
6?
3. I think 5.
Yeah.
So what he played in
they're trying to get Bo Nix the Heisman.
Exactly.
It comes at the expense of Ty Thompson getting more reps.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
I think the more concerning thing
was he banged up? I don't want to blast him if he's banged up and I didn't know about it.
But it's just it's one of those. It's like it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation where it's like if Nix is dinged, it's like you're suddenly wishing, man, we should have gotten Ty more snaps. But if Bo Nix stays healthy, it never becomes a problem.
Maybe
What
Ty
about-
Thompson's just a little too much of a liability that they don't trust, no matter what the score is.
Too.
Some Oregon fans on Twitter openly talking about DJ next year. So, like maybe him going back to the West Coast. Maybe that says something about what they think about Ty Thompson.
Wow.
Everybody on the West Coast is talking about DJ.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA talking about DJ.
The team that just beat Oregon.
Oregon
Talking about DJ?
Yeah, Washington talking about DJ. Oregon talking about DJ. Oh, man. All right, so what about that Oregon run game? Bo Nix has obviously been a part of it in terms, especially in the red zone when it comes time to try and convert on those opportunities. But with Bucky Irving, with Noah Whittington, is this an Oregon rushing attack that you think, let's say, if Bo Nix plays but is limited to the point where they have a different kind of game plan, do you think that the Ducks will be able to move the ball in this game against Utah?
It's an interesting question in that, as Bud touched on, like if you look at Utah defensively, they have been kind of a sieve against the run. I think they're ranked, let me check here, 122nd in success rate against the run so far this season, which not great, only 131 teams. But with Bo Nix playing, you have to respect what they can do in the passing attack, even if they still are a run-heavy offense. They have an explosive passing attack. If Ty Thompson is in there and you don't really have to worry about that, and Utah can kind of just load the box, suddenly their run defense becomes a little bit easier, better, at least, and it'd be hard to be worse. So, I mean, yeah, I think that has an impact. I think that with Whittington and Irving, you've got two very good, very explosive backs, shifty guys who can make guys miss, get in the open field, and make you pay. But if they don't have the room to get there, because Bo Nix as a runner kind of opens up lanes for them in the run game on himself, because defenses have to respect Nix with his legs. So losing Nix, passing attack, rushing attack, it's a huge loss for that offense if he doesn't play.
Both teams 6-1 in conference play. Oregon's game after this is not easy in Corvallis against Oregon State in the rivalry. Utah's next game also on the road, but against Colorado. So if there's a team that certainly neither team can really afford to lose and try to remain in the Pac-12 title picture. But I would say that when you look at the next game that's coming up, Utah does have a little bit of an advantage if things get a little bit crazy with those tiebreakers. I mean, who knows? UCLA beats USC. Utah's got the head-to-head against USC. Things still very much wide open out there in the Pac-12.